Hi there, I'm Taylor. In this video I'm going to install my recently completed custom display into my Porsche 944. This will be a bit of a process and I have a rough idea of how I want to wire it up, but I don't know if the specifics are all going to work out. My plan is to take power from the wiring that used to go to the rear windshield wiper motor. At some point in the car's history, the rear windshield wiper motor was removed, but the wiring still exists, so we'll see if we can grab 12 volt power and ground from there. Well, that's the exact opposite of what I thought would happen. After a bit of poking around, I've determined that I want to go with black and green wire is positive and the brown wire is negative. So we're all connected up here. Time to dress the wires in, and let's install the camera. So now the backup camera is wired up and power to the control box for the shift light. This process was pretty much like wiring up any aftermarket backup camera. The only difference is there's two wires running to the front instead of just one. The next step is for me to tap into the tachometer signal for the car. In this car, there's a green and black wire that terminates on a red connector right behind the engine computer, which is in the passenger footwell. And I'm going to use a T-tap, so a little clip goes over the wire. It makes electrical connection without having to cut the original wiring harness. Every car is going to have its RPM signal in a different place. Since this is an older car, it should be as easy as tapping into this wire and feeding it into the control box. So here we go. Right here's the engine computer, and right here's the connector, and we're after this green with black stripe wire. Always makes me nervous disconnecting these plugs that have been plugged in longer than I've been alive. Yeah. Nope. It's moving. There we go. Okay, so if I untwist this, now we can get our T-tap right on there. Okay, so what I just did was I cut my signal wire to length and terminated the T-tap side. So now I'm just going to plug it in. And I take my RPM signal and plug it in there. Now I can put this foot plate arrangement back together. Okay, time to route the cable along the windshield to get it to the display. I'm not going to cover it in this video. The way I'm mounting the display is I'm going to make a bracket that is going to bolt to the dashboard. Since this dash is all cracked up, I'm actually going to utilize one of the cracked areas to drill down and put a tapped hole and have an aluminum bracket hold this in place. So it's going to go right about there. But for now, we're going to hook up the wires and start running them. Okay, so today's the next day and we're gonna go test it out. Got it all set up on the dashboard back there. So, time to fire it up. There we go. So it's been about 7 months since I've installed the shift light, and here's what I think of it after some use. First, finding a place to mount the control box where I wouldn't get hit by a passenger was a little difficult. I mounted it using rivet nuts here in the footwell. To do this, I had to cut off the knob and put a slot in the potentiometer. That way I can use a flathead screwdriver to change my settings. My friend Corey checked out the shift light the night that I installed it, and I'm pretty sure that the LEDs are still burned into its retinas. So I went back and added dimmer wires, so when the headlights come on, it'll dim the LEDs. The 3D printed housing has gotten a little bit melty whenever it was left out in the sun. If this keeps getting worse, I might have to revisit this housing and make it out of flat sheets of carbon fiber or something. I originally started this project to help me not redline the car during autocross. I set the trigger point to a lower RPM than the actual redline, and it works pretty good. So I'll leave you with my in-car video from my last autocross.